What is up, everyone?
Hey, hey.
How are we doing tonight? How you doing tonight, Mitch?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right. It's raining and wet. Weather's miserable, but luckily I didn't have to
I
get
didn't
out
know
in
it
it.
was raining. I didn't know it was raining earlier.
Yeah, it's a mess. Yeah, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's been a long week.
Yep.
For both wrestling and my life. So
Yeah. It's weird. I'd say the same thing. Been a long week, but it's also it's been a fast week,
fast
and
one.
yeah, I don't know how you necessarily marry those two things. Fast and long. Um, but yeah, watched watched some, kind of mixed it up a little bit this week. Watched some WWE, watched New Japan and Noah, a little bit of AEW, and that's it's a bit different lineup for me. I'm normally here lately been pretty much just catching AEW and NXT. So
Yeah, I caught just about all three of those, and I've been looking at a lot of news and other reports. So I've just been looking at wrestling all week this week. There's a lot going on.
Oh yeah. So yeah, where you wanna start?
Do we want to start with some rumors, or like with some? We don't have to talk about like results and that kind of news, but we can start with some other type of news, like rumors and returns that we didn't want. A big return that we didn't want or need.
Sure. Yeah.
We could talk about Vincent Kennedy
I'm
McMahon.
not sure what you're. Oh yeah, that's the return you're referring to.
Yeah. A darkness approaches. Vince McMahon is back.
Yeah, so I had mixed feelings about the rumor there. I don't think Vince McMahon is a bad businessman by any account. So I didn't look at him coming back as 100% doom and gloom. I thought maybe if he were to come back in a more business capacity and leave the booking Triple H, I could be okay with that. But rumor is that that's not what's happening, and in fact, it's arguably, I would say, probably the worst case scenario for me. I don't know how you feel about it, but rumor has it that, yeah. So rumor has it that he has returned in order to sell WWE.
Crazy man doing crazy things.
So I mean, I got to think if you're Vince McMahon, you were handed that company. So it's a family business largely built, and handed down to you for you to just kind of take it, to the top, So if I'm Shane, if I'm Steph, even a little bit if I'm Triple H, like I've got to feel a certain kind of way about him selling it to somebody just out of the family, just to some big corporation. I think
like a network company or even another country. Like apparently Saudi Arabia is going to be a buyer.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the list now of the potential buyers, but it's I mean, some of the ones, Saudi Arabia is
NBC
interested.
network.
I've seen NBC, Disney, Amazon. I mean, the whole list, pretty much every company. Let's see, you got Comcast, Disney, Endeavor, Not sure quite what Endeavor is.
The last
Saudi
thing
Arabia.
A wrestling property. That's the last thing I want.
Repeat that last.
Is for
what's that?
Disney to own a wrestling
Saudi Arabia?
Oh, no, Disney.
Disney. Okay, yeah. No, I think I think Disney is probably the worst case scenario.
The worst case scenario.
Yeah. I've even seen a rumor going around that apparently The Rock has expressed some interest in buying the company.
Yeah. You know what? That wouldn't be a bad decision.
Not necessarily. Biggest Dwayne mark. But, I mean, again, I think that might... It's so bad that would be one of the best case scenarios. You know, I would maybe trust Dwayne Johnson more than I would trust Disney or Amazon.
I trust someone
that's and I mean, interestingly enough, yeah. So yeah, weird news there. Don't know. I don't know what to think about any of that, man. It really hasn't, I don't think, quite set in. You know, the possibility of it being owned by, you know, Disney or some big corporation.
Like I said, Satan himself has come back to reclaim his throne. And we got we got some news about the Royal Rumble. Some little return news happening for the men's Rumble. Nothing really about the women's, but the men's.
So this is still in the area of rumor, right?
Mm-hmm. Jay White.
Yep.
Apparently, it's a big thing that he put down the title, and everyone's thinking, and there's rumors going around that he will maybe debut in WWE in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and I mean that could get us off on a tangent, man. You know, that is very heavily connected to Wrestle Kingdom that just went down a few days ago, which we haven't talked about yet. You know, so it's, I don't know. There's good chance. Oh, and you know, seeing Nakamura wrestle the Great Muta. Did you get to catch that?
I caught a bit of that, yeah.
Yeah. I watched
the ending.
Yeah, I watched the event, and most of it was pretty lackluster overall. I didn't really. There were one or two matches outside of that I enjoyed, but I couldn't even tell you at this point like who was in it. But that was the best match of the night. Really good, but to see the stark contrast of, you know, Nakamura, who's been in WWE for 6-7 years now, you know, his main roster stuff versus his pre-WWE stuff, his NXT stuff, and his Noah appearance recently. It's like it's a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that, man. I don't know. I really don't get what's different. You know, I mean, aside from main roster, the obvious, you know, what's different? Why does Nakamura wrestle so much better outside of WWE?
I guess because he's given that space to wrestle better. He's not under so much pressure.
Yeah, I mean that's I mean, I guess a possibility. You know, I mean, and I've heard, you know, rumor stuff about, you know, their WWE wrestlers are kind of taught to wrestle a certain way in that WWE style of wrestling. And there's a lot of things that you can't do. So I know it must be kind of nerve-wracking to get in the ring, and especially if you've been wrestling for a long time before WWE and have to constantly keep these things in mind of, okay, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this move. I have, you know, so you really have to kind of edit everything that you're doing in real time. And I guess that's can be the cause there. But it was nice to see Nakamura in that old Nakamura kind of return. Point being, I worry about Jay White. If he ends up going to WWE full time, I mean, there's AJ Styles, I think, is the obvious exception as far as somebody who was great before WWE, made that transition to main roster, and remained pretty dang great. I think you could say the same thing for Finn Balor. Finn Balor's pretty great still. Both of those guys have adapted to WWE pretty well and still put on really great matches. I guess you could say the same for Tyler Black, Seth Rollins. He's somebody who really flourished, obviously, in WWE. But to talk about the opposite end of that, we could sit here all night and name names of your Apollo Crews and guys who were really great, outside of WWE and just came to WWE and were not entertaining to watch. So I mean, I worry about that with Jay White. If Jay White actually does show up at the Rumble, if it's a one-off, I think that might be maybe, I don't know. If they are interested in signing him to a full contract, like I said, that worries me. I don't know if we'll be able to keep the same Jay White.
Hopefully we will.
Hopefully.
If that happens. There's also news of a Matt Cardona coming back at the Rumble.
Yeah.
Not as a signee, but like coming back as making a Rumble return.
Right.
And
right.
Under his name, Matt Cardona.
Right. Every year, WWE has kind of gotten into this thing where they bring back somebody for the Rumble, and it's not necessarily that they're coming back to wrestle for WWE full time. A lot of times will be just a one-off, one and done, see you later, maybe type deal.
I'm glad that wasn't Edge's case.
I mean, yeah, yeah.
Nah, you're mad.
I can take him or leave him. It's not. I don't dislike the guy, but I'm not a big Edge fan.
Understand that. We got that news. We got, of course, The Rock coming back to the Rumble, which I don't think, maybe? I don't know.
I haven't, that's been rumored for a while. I guess Rock versus Reigns is something that a lot of people want to see. I wouldn't be surprised, man, if Stone Cold made a return out of retirement recently, and I would argue that The Rock is probably in much better wrestling condition than Steve Austin. So I think that's pretty likely if they throw him enough money, and that's The Rock commands a certain level of money at this point. He's not as cheap as he would have been 10 years ago. I'm sure WWE wouldn't mind, forking over the cash for him. But, if you're The Rock, it's got to be enough money to make it worth putting your body on the line again when you really don't have to do that anymore. So it'll be interesting to see if they can manage to set that up and make that happen. I've never been a huge Rock fan either. I love him on the mic, man. I think he's definitely one of the best with the stick, one of the best to ever do it. But his in-ring ability, again, I don't dislike the guy, but he doesn't wow me. So that, I think, Rock versus Reigns matchup would probably be most interesting for the storyline.
Yes.
As opposed to the quality of the match, the in-ring action.
Speaking of storyline, the whole Sami Zayn storyline with the Bloodline is taken off.
Yeah, so I caught some clips of that, but I didn't actually catch the whole thing. I watched Raw. I didn't watch SmackDown, but I did see clips of what was going on there. I don't fully understand because all the clips I saw were pretty chopped up and pretty short. So I don't really have any context for what's going on there.
I mean, it looks like Roman's losing his cool.
Yeah, I think one I saw was him refusing Sammy's apology, saying he didn't accept Sammy's apology to the one who needed to apologize.
Mm-hmm. Because he had lost his cool. I think this is where it starts. This is the beginning of the end of the bloodline.
Seems that way. Seems that way. I mean, I don't really see them quickly resolving whatever's going on because they've already kind of ran through the, friction. Let's resolve it and work it out and all get on the same page. Kind of part of the angle, like that. That step in the process is done. So now it seems that we're laying the groundwork for the, like you said, the unraveling.
Yeah.
The other clip I saw was Reigns in the ring with Sammy, asking him if he wanted to be him, if he wanted to be the tribal chief. Just kind of, giving it to him a little bit. I don't know, again, where that came from. I don't know what the context or backstory there is, but
I think it's to where Kevin Owens just keeps getting in the head of Roman and Sammy.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin knows Sammy better than anyone, so.
Right.
He knows that Sammy has a game. The master strategist.
Yeah.
Sammy's playing the long game. I'm gonna say it. Sammy's playing the long game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah. But speaking of the Royal Rumble and about all these entrants, who do you think is going to win the men's Royal Rumble and the women's Royal Rumble? We're 20 days away. I know this is early, but I'm going to keep asking you this until it's time.
I mean, I think if I had to pick someone now and bet my money, I'd probably bet on Cody Rhodes. Women's that one's a little bit more up in the air. I don't follow the women probably as closely as I should to make that prediction. Yeah, I would. I don't know. I'll go with Alexa Bliss on that. So
okay.
I think those are fairly safe predictions.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. But yeah, what do you think?
I'm thinking for the men's Royal Rumble. This is an early prediction. I think that the Bloodline is going to get involved in the men's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn's going to win the men's Royal Rumble.
Think so.
And my girl Rhea Ripley's going to win the women's Royal Rumble.
Well, that's a good chance of that.
Because they've already scrapped the whole Charlotte versus Ronda WrestleMania thing, or the whole Ronda versus Becky.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have Rhea win the Rumble, or maybe we'll have Becky win, or Bayley win, or I'm thinking it's Rhea Ripley from Judgment Day.
I mean, that would make a lot of sense. If we're treating this as if it, we're real, I'd say she probably stands the best chance. Just her sheer size and power, typically favors the bigger, stronger, that type of match. So
yeah. I guess. On to the news about this. We got our big top. We got one of the big topics out of the way already, and we're just moving on to the news.
Well, I mean, another little interesting tidbit, news-wise, that's not really rumor, but actually a little more concrete, confirmed, though. It's just in regards to something that is in the process, so, we haven't actually seen what the outcome is going to be. But the Federal Trade Commission is putting forth a new proposal that, so I'm going to read. It says that employers would be banned from imposing non-compete clauses on their workers, and to WWE and AEW. So if this goes through, it would make it illegal, for a company to have a no-compete clause in their contract, meaning that these, when we see, these days you see someone get out of their contract, beg to get out with WWE. They finally agree and let them out of the contract. They have to sit on the shelf for 90 days before they go work for another company. So that's why you see a lot of times these big gaps where 3 months will go by and you won't see a particular wrestler, and then they pop up in the other company. So yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, I don't know. There's pros and cons to that from a business standpoint. So if you're an employer looking at that, obvious, pros and cons. Being the talent, as a fan, I think that's definitely something I want to go through. I mean, to just have the option to have these people go straight to work somewhere else and not have to sit on the shelf. Some of your favorites, you won't have to wait 3 months for them to get back in action. From a fan standpoint, I don't really see why you wouldn't want that to go through. But yeah, it's possible we could see that. I'm going to try my best. I just came across that earlier today. I heard about it last night, actually, on the talk radio. I left my iPod at home, so I had to listen to the radio, and it was just on, some talk, and they were going through the news. And so I stopped it there for a minute to hear some news, and I heard that, and I even thought, I wonder if that would apply to WWE. Would that apply to wrestlers? And then, earlier today I saw some wrestling site, they picked up on it and wrote an article about it. So I'm gonna try to keep up with that, as much as I can, see what happens there. I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that too.
Yeah. So what else you got?
We can head on over to AEW news. We got a new TNT champion. You excited?
Oh, I'm miserably exhausted with the whole thing.
If no one knows what we're talking about, the new TNT champion is Darby Allin.
Yeah. And that's not to say that I'm not a Darby Allin fan. He has his place. As the TNT champion, I don't think so. I don't understand, man. I really don't get AEW's booking at all. Most of the time, they just put the belt on Samoa Joe recently. Mm-hmm. Darby comes back, I guess, last week, and Joe tucks his tail and runs from him, which it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Joe's twice his size and a killer, So I'm not really sure why he's so scared of Darby. And then I guess, a week later we have Darby just defeat Samoa Joe, take the title back. The TNT championship, for the most part, has been a pretty huge disappointment for me. There have been some good picks, I think, but as far as people they went with for champions, I think Brody Lee was a good call. Cody, good call. They've made some other good calls, but when they put it on like Wardlow and Samoa Joe, they didn't really do anything with it, and I'm already seeing Darby Allin merch was made, to kind of, and it's specifically, the face of TNT, the picture of Darby on it. And I didn't see Wardlow or Samoa Joe get that kind of treatment when they were champions.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. I don't understand why you would, it seemed like they were really building Wardlow up to make him, a top guy. And as he's ascending, hits that TNT championship and just stagnates and then drops it and plummets. Again, with Samoa Joe, somebody who's already been established. He's a big name. Right when you think they're starting to build him up, put the strap on him. And I mean, how long was he champion? I mean, that's just a few weeks.
Mojo was champion for 3 weeks.
Right. That's crazy. Make him champion for 3 weeks and then he loses it to Darby Allin.
Darby Allin, yeah.
And Darby Allin's somebody who's over, of course. But again, I don't know. I typically
he's definitely over. I'm over him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge Darby fan, but I mean the fans love him. He gets pops. I mean, and I understand it. He's a daredevil. He's a modern day daredevil, stuntman.
Yeah, his stunts are okay, but they're stunts. It's not wrestling.
Right. And I often criticize the guy for some of those stunts. Man, a lot of them are very unsafe. I'm amazed that he's not seriously injured himself on a few occasions. I often say he's going to end up having a short career because of the things that he does to his body.
He's going to. If he
and again, I mean, all of that's fine because I do think Darby is where he is because of who he is and what he does. And he's able to make pretty good money. I don't know what he's getting paid, but I'm sure he's getting paid a lot of money to basically be, it's Johnny Knoxville, all over again. I mean, Johnny Knoxville, Bam Margera, that whole crew, Steve-O, they were popular and got a right place at the right time, got a good deal, got some money, but eventually that's it's just not going to be interesting anymore. And for a lot of people, like myself, and I'm sure, you're probably in that camp, it's not very interesting anymore. I don't skip his matches. I watch them. But half the time that's just to, play the Darby Allin Deadpool. Like when's he gonna break his neck on national television? So, yeah, me and my buddies all have bets. Me and my buddies all have bets going, man. You want to get in on that?
When's he finally gonna hurt himself?
yeah, like in his career.
Wow, y'all have bets going?
Yeah. Like how long is Darby gonna last before he's in a wheelchair?
I should put money down, man.
Hey, I mean, it's getting to be a pretty big pot, man. You might want to get down on that.
When's he gonna hurt himself? Like full retirement injury?
Yeah, like wheelchair bound, or
never,
or death.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, I mean you can bet that way. We'll take that bet.
I don't think it's gonna happen. If it does happen, maybe in the next 10 years.
So yeah, short career. Yeah.
I mean, he'll probably start wrestling a lot safer if he notices things.
I don't know, man. I don't know how much sense the kid has. So.
Maybe none at all.
But yeah, Dynamite. I didn't catch Rampage. I don't even think I finished watching Dynamite. I think I got caught up, had to step away from it, and then by the time I was able to sit down and watch some more wrestling, I ended up getting on the Noah and the New Japan stuff. So Jericho wrestled Ricky Starks.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty decent match. Had Jericho take the L. I see online criticize Jericho and accuse him of being AEW's Hulk Hogan. Accuse him of burying young talent and just kind of hogging the spotlight from the younger kids, and he's only there for himself. Jericho only cares about himself, and I mean, just in recent memory, we've seen him put over Cesaro as a champion. Big, in my opinion, doing something really stupid in tapping out to the Cesaro swing.
The swing.
Right. But that puts over the move, that puts over Cesaro, putting the Ring of Honor strap back on him, and Cesaro's no spring chicken, but Cesaro is, or Claudio Castagnoli, I guess I should call him.
I was gonna say I was gonna do a count of how many times you said Cesaro.
Right.
You Mark.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm a WWE mark who doesn't really watch much WWE. But and then we go to the 2.0 and Garcia, bringing those guys into the fold, bumping them up a tier. You've got the Action Andretti, putting him over, trying to build a star there.
Do you remember seeing 2.0 in WWE?
No,
WWE and 205 Live in NXT.
Yeah, I knew that they were, but I wasn't watching then at that point in time. And so when they came to AEW, I was actually probably one of the few people who had no idea who they were. None at all.
I saw that they got released, and then 5-6 weeks later, I see them on AEW. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, put those guys over, and now he's laying down for Ricky Starks and building up Ricky Starks there. So really, that argument, against Jericho holds absolutely no water to me. Jericho is somebody that, I'm obviously a huge Jericho fan. We can beat that dead horse for the 100th time on the show. So I personally would like
to.
Yeah. So I personally would like to see Jericho on top, coming out on top, getting some wins. But I understand he's getting older, and part of his duty at this point is to help build new stars and put people over and, kind of train up the next Chris Jericho and some of the next stars, that we'll be watching. My kids will be watching. And I think he's doing that, man. I think, going to AEW, he was the first person to sign to AEW when they were starting the company that really, really gave the company credibility. It's like, yeah, you got Cody and Omega and the Young Bucks and they're established, but it was still just kind of felt, I don't know, like you're playing wrestling. Like, we're gonna play our wrestling fed. And
it's
but
universe mode. They start doing 2K's universe mode, but in real life.
Yeah. But when Jericho signed on, man, that made me stop and say, okay, like this might actually be something, and AEW, for all its faults, you've got to give them credit for going head to head with WWE and trying to be a major league.
Yeah, they got a lot of hype their first year.
Oh yeah. I mean, the production quality, the pyro, the stage, the arenas, and even though they can't necessarily fill the arenas a lot of times, WWE has that same problem. And both companies, strategically place fans and know what angles to shoot from so that they're not revealing the fact that the arena is not really sold out.
I was going to say, WWE has all these panning shots showing, yeah, we got a lot of people here. AEW is always closer shots to the ring.
Yeah.
Not
No, I mean,
really
I've seen WWE do the exact same thing. So and I don't fault either company for doing that. But I also am not gonna, it's over, AEW bros. There's 20 empty seats. That's silly and ridiculous. But like I said, you got to give them credit, for actually going big. But yeah, Jericho put over Starks in what was a decent match. See what else? Jarrett and Lethal had a match against the Acclaimed for the tag titles.
Yep, and they initially won the titles.
Yeah, it's it's so what goes down was actually entertaining if I'm isolating that match, from all other wrestling matches I've ever watched. If I'm just watching this one match, it's fine. So you have a foot on the rope, the referee doesn't see it. Jarrett that got the pin?
Jarrett got the pin.
Yeah, so Jarrett gets a 1, 2, 3 pin. They ring the bell. The ref raises the hand. They're the new tag team champions because the ref didn't see the foot on the rope, right? So you have a second referee. I think it was Audrey.
It was Audrey.
Yeah, she's awful, by the way.
Yeah.
But
whenever I see Audrey when I saw Audrey coming in the ring, I was like, something interesting happens and you're going to change it, aren't you?
Well, not an Audrey Edwards fan. But she explains to the official what happened, and they restart the match. Match continues. Shortly thereafter, Acclaim gets the pin, gets the win, retains the championships. Like I said, isolated, that's fine. But you've been watching wrestling long enough to know that if that can happen then, think about
how happened like a month or two ago when MJF got the brass knuckles.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the other wrestling matches that we've watched. This exact scenario would completely alter history. Like the course of
even Friday when the Usos once again retained their tag team titles against the Banger Bros. I'll get into that in a second.
Be careful. Don't Google that.
Don't Google that.
Yeah, and if you're again thinking about wrestling logically, and if you're overthinking it, you watch the NFL, you watch, major sporting events, and they have instant replay.
Yeah, they have instant replays,
yeah. So I've at times, it's like, why don't you just have an instant replay? Have a camera down at ringside.
Even in 2017 and 2018, when the Usos lost their tag team titles or SmackDown tag team titles to Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, even though they lost their titles in a non-clean way, they still had the highlights shown up on the screen to prove their point and had to restart the match. Whereas this in every single title match that has gotten no clean ending.
Yeah. Yeah, wouldn't have been a thought 50 years ago, 40 years ago, but modern times, man, like you can't just review the footage and reverse the decision.
And even if there was two refs at the same time, with one ref on the outside, one ref on the inside. That's a great way to do things, especially if it's a title match.
And I mean, there have been wrestling matches that had two refs, one for the inside and one for the outside.
Right.
A lot of the Falls Count Anywhere, kind of brawl matches will often have, more than one ref.
Why can't they do that for title matches?
Or all matches.
Yeah, or any match.
Yeah. Put these refs to work. Yeah, it's I don't know. Part of me thought it would have been kind of cool to go with Jarrett and Lethal, for tag champions.
I was excited when they counted it. I love the Acclaimed, but the idea of having Jarrett and Lethal.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, I like the Acclaimed, even though the Scissor Me stuff I'm a little over.
AEW has robbed me of that opportunity.
The Jarrett Lethal Duo, though, I'm a bit more of a fan. So I know a lot of people are down on Jeff Jarrett, but I think it would have been cool to, roll into 2023 with Jeff Jarrett holding a major title. As long as it's not a world title, I think that probably would have been going too far.
A tag team title, yes.
Tag team, I'll accept. Yeah.
Even if it was the TNT Championship, actually.
Yeah. But especially teaming with Lethal, I like the combo of Jarrett and Lethal. I think they're a good team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the only other match I caught was Daniel Bryan and Tony Nese, which was a really good match. I enjoyed that. Yeah. I enjoyed that one. Tony Nese, underrated guy. I think he's pretty great. His character, not so much. He never really has much of a character other than the, I guess, premier athlete. So he's always like pretty stoked on how fit he is. Which is, I don't know, kind of boring. It's cool. It's good, I guess. If you're being a heel. But
Rick Rude made it awesome.
Yeah, Rick Rude took it to another level.
He was egotistical in his own world.
Yeah.
He even hated himself and loved it at the same time.
Yep. So, those were the matches. I guess I didn't watch the rest of the show. Daniel Bryan, after defeating Tony Nese, called out MJF. They did some back and forth that was I don't know. It felt like MJF's probably some of MJF and Daniel Bryan, especially MJF, some of their weaker mic work. I didn't really care for it, man. It's low grade humor. I slept with your mom. Who hasn't slept with your mom? Your mom sleeps with goats. It's like, is this really what we're? This is what we're doing.
This here? Is kindergartner level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got top tier talent in MJF and Daniel Bryan. And this is the promo back and forth. Exchange that we're getting.
You have Bryan Danielson, one of the best promos that happened in WWE. A great heel promo, excellent face promo during his time of being champion. And you have MJF, which is always going on the mic, and then you team both of them up, and they got nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
I think someone's writing their lines.
I don't know what happened there, man. I really don't know, because it did feel beneath them. I mean, obviously, you said kindergarten level, humor.
Your mom sleeps with goats. So
yeah, it's. I don't know, man. I was disappointed in both of them with that. It just was very, very subpar, man.
Talked about Daniel Bryan being a vegan. Could talked about how he tried to save the world, but also tried to destroy it.
I mean, and the vegan stuff is a little bit better, but it's still kind of weak and played out. They've done that. I do like he was calling him Brain Damage Brian. I think that's a bit more on par with what I want to,
Hey, you MJF could have brought up the time where Justin Roberts, where Daniel Bryan almost killed Justin Roberts.
Yeah, I mean, you've just got a lot more to work with, I think, other than, like, you eat vegetables and you look like a goat. Like you said, I mean, that's the best that they could come up with. It feels like somebody maybe wrote those lines and made them read them. So, yeah, did you catch the rest of the show? Was there anything else of note?
No, not really. I mean, we had Darby Allin fight in it, which was not the not the best match I've seen. And we've also had at Battle of the Belts, we had Orange Cassidy and Kip Sapien, which also wasn't the best match I've seen. So,
Well, I mean, it was Orange Cassidy, so
yeah, I don't get the All Atlantic Championship.
I mean, it's supposed to be
Like the European Championship of AEW.
kind of. I mean, it's just
And yet,
Atlantic countries, that are kind of represented, and I don't know, man. Intercontinental title almost. I don't know.
I'm trying to see where Orange Cassidy is from. Okay, he's from America.
Yeah, he's the American representative because when they do the like promotion cards for the All Atlantic Championship, they often show the wrestler with their country's flag in the background. So yeah, it's somewhat of an intercontinental championship. I haven't really. I mean, Pac, was the only All Atlantic champion that I've remotely cared about. And even at that point, it's like I don't really care what title you have on Pac. Just the fact that you have a title on him
Even then, I've never actually told you this. The belt looks awful.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the look, man. It's pretty poor design.
It looks a little sloppy, kind of like the trios titles. I talked about the trios titles; they look good. They look good to an extent. You can tell that these were both rush titles.
Yeah, who's in charge of designing the belts? But in the AEW title, not the current one that MJF has, but the traditional AEW title looks really good.
Yes.
I'm not too crazy about the TBS or the TNT titles, but I mean, I think that's for obvious reasons.
Well, the TNT title changes almost every new champion.
Yeah, I mean, it slightly. It still has that core kind of TNT logo design on it, and I think that's probably what just kind of turns me off to it.
Yeah. But the strap will go from red to black to gold to purple to just black again.
Yeah.
Just minor different changes in color and in the metal used. So that's my complaint.
Yeah, I mean, Orange Cassidy. That's my complaint.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Is there anything else on Dynamite?
I got nothing for AEW as a whole.
Cool. WWE Monday Night Raw.
You watched this though. I'm gonna let you take the hold on this one.
Cool. Well, there wasn't really a whole lot that really entertained me, I would say. The Austin Theory Seth Rollins match. That was really good. I think at this point we can just expect Austin Theory and Seth Rollins to deliver a good match anytime they're in the ring together, because so far they've never failed me.
Wasn't Rollins hurt after the match?
Yeah, I think he tweaked his knee or something, some sort of leg injury. I haven't heard any updates on that, so I don't know. I don't know if that's something serious or if it's just a minor thing.
Okay.
Let's hope it's minor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Austin Theory came out on top, so retains the United States Championship. Alexa Bliss. Yeah.
Yeah, her and I'm sorry, I just got real confused. I'm over here on another tab and look at the WWE Network.
Yeah.
WWE Network is WWE Network is letting New Japan ads happen on their website.
Uh-oh.
I'm looking at it right now. New Japan Pro Wrestling Token Shop Global Strong Style Shopping shipping worldwide on the WWE website.
That's pretty crazy, man.
Huh. I'm sorry, that's just got me a little flabbergasted.
Yeah.
Back to what you were saying. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good, man. I understand. Got WWE name dropping Bullet Club on their programming, lending out Nakamura to Noah and lending out Carl Anderson to New Japan, and then to see that, just inching us ever closer to that possible forbidden door, the true forbidden door.
Yeah.
Has not been opened in decades.
That door that has dust all over it. Finally, the knobs are turning.
Yep.
The lights coming through the creaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you. And
Nah, you're good. You're good.
I was in my own little world right there.
All good, man. Yeah, I mean, just talking about Raw, the only other thing that really interests me at all was the Alexa Bliss.
Tapping on Bianca.
Yeah, they played, kind of like a Bray Wyatt subliminal message, type thing that popped up on the screen, the Titantron, and seemingly triggered something in Alexa Bliss, causing her to snap and just be really, really brutal and aggressive with Bianca Belair. She initially attacked the ref whenever she kind of snapped into that mode, and just pummeled the guy, and then turned her attention to Belair and just destroyed her. Had some legit bleeding going on. I'm not exactly sure when that happened, but I think Bianca got hit in the mouth, was bleeding. I did see at some point too, Bliss, I think, got a little bit of a nosebleed. So there's blood, both girls bleeding. Alexa Bliss takes Bianca Belair outside the ring and starts smashing her face into the steel steps. So that was good. New development there, I think, with Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss. So that's at least got me somewhat interested in that storyline. And so, yeah, that was entertaining. The rest of Raw didn't really do much for me.
I'm going to say the rest of Raw was a bloodline takeover.
Yeah, the show opened with the Bloodline pretty much destroying everything, taking over the ring. Kevin Owens come out, cuts a promo. They end up getting put into matches throughout the night, the whole Bloodline. I think, was it Solo versus, was it Elias?
Yes.
Is that right?
What was it? It was like a street fight.
Yeah. That was okay, but I mean, there was at no point did I really think Elias was going to come out on top there. So it was a foregone conclusion. You knew how that was going to go down. And then was it Street Profits and Kevin Owens versus Usos and Sami Zayn?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Street
Profits, Kevin Owens versus Usos and Sami Zayn.
Right. And that was, I don't know, mostly forgettable for me. But yeah, I didn't catch NXT. I didn't catch SmackDown.
Well, I did. I caught both of those, and
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about firstly on NXT. Braun Breaker is an athlete.
Yeah.
I don't think I might have sent you a clip earlier on in the week, but Braun Breaker doing a suicide dive out of the ring at the end of the show.
Yeah, I think I missed that. I think
That man's got height.
Yeah, I think I would remember seeing something like that.
So he did a suicide dive to Grayson Waller out of the ring. This man's like 280, 290 pounds of pure muscle, and he's able to like launch himself that high and that far.
Yeah. I'll have to skim those messages again and see if he did send that, because
if I did, I will send it, because
I don't know that I'll get to catch, like go back and catch last week's episode. I might just have to skip it.
Other than that, we've had an excellent show. Your boy Axiom was in it, of course. He showed up in the show fighting Trick Williams. He had Apollo Crews facing Carmelo Hayes. And it looks like Apollo and Axiom are going to team up against these two. Maybe next week or in the coming weeks.
That could be cool, man. I could get down with Apollo and Axiom tagging.
I could too.
Yeah.
We had Dijak defeat Stax, and then afterwards, the Don, Tony D'Angelo, calls him out. And so this week we'll be having either, I think New Year's Evil is on Saturday, right? Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
New Year's Evil will have the Don, Tony D'Angelo, take on Dijak.
Okay.
We had Out of Fire versus Isla Dawn in an Extreme Resolution match, which is just, Extreme Rules match type.
Yeah.
Or no holds barred.
Isla Dawn. Yeah, that should be a good match. Look forward to that one.
Yep. We also had Mensa versus Bernal. This was a match I didn't care for. It was basically someone getting over on Bernal, which is a jobber for NXT. So
yeah, I like Bernal. I'm not sure who the other guy is. Who is it?
Oro Mensa.
Yeah, I don't know
He's
who
from
that is.
the UK.
Okay.
We also had Drew Gulak finally getting some TV time and beating Andre Chase on live TV. I think it's been like a year since we've seen Drew Gulak pin someone on live television.
Yeah, he was like training some of the new recruit NXT talent, I think a week or two ago on the program.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this was his first match back.
I guess so. And then we had and then lastly, the last match of the night, I was very excited for, but I didn't like the outcome altogether. We had Kofi Kingston versus Joe Gacy.
That's weird.
I actually was very excited.
Yeah, I mean, was it a good match?
It was a great match. The ending was good as well. The ending was phenomenal, but I just felt like Kofi Kingston ended up winning over Joe Gacy, which is great. Kofi Kingston's the veteran. He's the better guy. Oh, excuse me. Grand Slam champion, current NXT Tag Team champion. That's great. But Joe Gacy's supposed to be a threat.
Yeah.
If Joe Gacy can't defeat, he got close. He put on a clinic. He put on a good show against Kofi. But if he can't beat Kofi Kingston to show him that he is a leader, and make the schism a big bad, faction, then why do you have him in a faction? Why is he the leader of the faction?
Yeah, I mean that sounds like some poor booking to me. And it was a clean loss. He lost clean.
It was a clean loss. It was a Trouble in Paradise pin.
Man, yeah. Like I said, that does sound like some bad booking. And I mean, especially for somebody like me that I think I've seen one Gacy match, and he impressed. It was entertaining. The schism stuff. Oh yeah. Can go for a bigger guy. But the schism stuff, while I have like some complaints and some issues, some things that aren't quite allowing me to fully get on board and invested, I am paying attention. I am interested, so having the guy lose to Kofi Kingston is not a way to really keep me interested. It's not a good look for him.
Yeah. So that was all that we had in NXT. Again, the Grayson Waller effect with Brock. My goodness, he got so much height in that suicide dive. It was a top rope suicide dive.
Yeah.
So I'm still in shock about it. But we'll move on to SmackDown and see the highlights of those. I do want to bring up, firstly and foremost, what was their idea? What was Triple H thinking? I know what Triple H was thinking. I knew he's the head creative. He knows what he was doing when he said that Drew and Sheamus could become the Banger Bros.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That feels like a either a last minute call that somebody didn't really sleep on, or have the time to really let that kind of marinate for for a day. Or again, like I don't know if these people are like, losing bets. It's like you upset Triple H, so this week on Raw you're go out on national television and call yourselves the Banger Bros. Punishment of sorts.
I mean, I get it because Sheamus is always like, I have a banger match after banger match after banger match. But calling yourself the Banger Bros?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did just have the Raw Triple X. Yeah. The 30-year.
Right, Dad. He's like, good God, what's Triple H doing?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the 30-year anniversary of Monday Night Raw. They just called it Raw Triple X. Yeah, and
not without Raw XXX.
did not look good, and definitely led to some problems when some people went to Google. When is the 30th anniversary of Raw show that they just advertised? This Raw Triple X. When is that going down? So I'm gonna Google Raw Triple X. Oh my God.
I can see someone's 10-year-old kid typing in Raw Triple X.
Yeah,
this is what happened.
Yeah. That's quite the conundrum. Bad. It's a PR blunder, man. Not good. And I think likewise, if this name sticks with McIntyre and Sheamus, there's going to be some upset parents going through their 10-year-old's search history. It's like, Mom, I was looking up wrestling. I swear.
Look up wrestling. Oh, you sure were.
Yeah. Not allowed to watch that kind of wrestling, son.
I've been thinking on that for the past couple of nights as well, because I've been seeing memes.
Yeah.
And posts where it's just like Drew and Sheamus with the couch gag.
Yeah. Yep. Just tread lightly, man. Be careful what you click on.
So that out of the way, we had the whole kerfuffle with Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. And we've already talked about that. It was great.
Right.
But also, I got nothing else to say. It was good.
Yeah.
I liked every single part of the
I
promo. I like that Sami Zayn's going to be the special guest referee. Like it.
Okay, so that was an outcome there. We got Sami Zayn being a ref.
Yep, at the Royal Rumble, Sami Zayn will be the special guest referee for Roman versus Owens. And next week, he has to prove himself worthy of that spot by beating Kevin Owens.
Nice.
So you got that going down. Oh yeah, this bull crap. So you remember how I was talking about Joe Gacy and how he should have beaten Kofi Kingston, right?
Right.
Well, on SmackDown, we had Santos Escobar versus Kofi Kingston. Guess who won?
Kofi?
Nope, Santos Escobar.
What?
Yep.
I mean, that's good. You know, I mean, that's what I would have preferred, but I guess they couldn't have.
It wasn't fully clean, though. It wasn't fully clean.
Yeah. I guess they couldn't have Kofi.
There was stuff going on the outside that distracted Kofi.
Yeah. I guess they couldn't have Kofi taking 2 losses back to back like that.
Yeah. But I would have rather him take a loss to Gacy than Escobar. Love Escobar, but Gacy need that more.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. I think that would have been the way to go. If he's got to win one, lose one. Yeah.
He had Karrion Kross and Scarlett versus Madcap Moss and Emma in a mixed tag team match.
Yeah, and that's some real life stuff going on there because that's both of those are couples in real life.
Yep.
So cool. Was that decent?
Yeah, it was pretty good. After the match, Karrion Kross put the Rey Mysterio golden mask around Madcap and put the card saying TikTok to Rey Mysterio. So we're gonna have Rey Mysterio and Karrion Kross drama.
Yeah, they kind of already initiated that already and kind of put a little bit of a pin in it, and now we're gonna pick that back up.
We had Charlotte Flair defeat Sonya Deville in a women's championship match. Very easily beat her. We had "Thank You, Charlotte" chants that night too.
Nice.
I never thought I'd hear any of those words in the same sentence. Like, "Thank you, Charlotte." It doesn't sound right.
Yeah, but I mean that's where we're at.
I guess anything's better than Ronda.
I think Charlotte taking some time off. They say distance makes the heart grow fonder. So I think having her kind of go away for a little while is really what's done her a world of good.
I wonder if that would have been if they would have had the same chant or reaction if it was Eva Marie to win the SmackDown Women's title off of Ronda.
I don't know, man. I don't think they would have went that far. Depends on, I guess, the lot of fans who were in the arena at the time. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be amazed to find any fans that would have had that same reaction for her.
So that happened, and then we had Ricochet versus Top Dollar in a Royal Rumble qualifying match.
Yeah, so
it was Ricochet.
I did see a clip of the beatdown on Ricochet after.
They turned heel over a botch. A botch.
Yeah, I didn't see what led to it. I just saw pretty much the attack.
And then after that, Braun Strowman came out to help him.
Interesting.
Listen, if Sheamus and Drew can be called the Banger Bros, we can call Braun and Ricochet the Ball Brothers. Because I'm looking at them and they both got sun or whatever shun off the top of their heads.
Yep. It's pretty cool that the way that teaming has kind of come to be.
Yeah, real life drama into like taking care of it in the ring and actually becoming good friends in the ring.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's been pretty cool to watch. I like that.
Yeah. And then, of course, the last match we had the Usos versus the Banger Bros for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. You already know how that turned out.
Yep. Already talked about that and probably could have guessed.
So overall, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who is going to defeat the Usos if not FTR when they come back?
I mean, is FTR off the table? That can't be my answer because I think that's probably the only
FTR, but
I think that's probably the only answer that makes any sense. I don't know. The tag team division is pretty weak. They really haven't built the division up enough to have really anybody else. It almost has to be FTR. Unless you take two stars who are singles competitors and make them form a tag team to maybe take the championships off, but that just seems
far-fetched and bad.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the way to go. So
I mean, Cesaro and Sheamus worked out.
Right. So who knows? I mean, it's not impossible, but again, you would still have to form that team and then build them to some degree. So I'd go with FTR, man. FTR's been dropping every title they held. Rumor has it they're on their way back to WWE.
Yeah, one championship left.
Yeah, what's that?
So they dropped Ring of Honor.
Right.
They dropped New Japan.
Okay, they still have AAA?
No, they dropped Triple. They don't have any titles left, do they?
No. I think this loss at Wrestle Kingdom, dropping the NW.
Oh crap! We're gonna probably get the Usos versus FTR at WrestleMania.
Yeah, dropping those New Japan titles this past week. I think was their last one, man. So they're free. I don't know exactly when their contracts are up or if they're trying to get out of those. I don't know what's going on there, but
they're going to be at WrestleMania. They're going to take the titles off the Usos.
I would almost bet on that, man. It seems likely, and like we said, like I said, there's not really anything else that makes sense. There aren't any other teams that are established enough, good enough, believable enough to do it. And it's not like you can pull up from NXT because your former tag champions down there are pretty deadly and they're not equipped for the job. And then your current tag team champions are the New Day, and the New Day just had a match with the Usos for the championships and couldn't get the job done.
Right.
So, I don't really see anybody else on the field, and technically FTR is not on the field yet, but rumors here lately have mostly been turning out to be pretty true. I can't really think of many that, turned out to be false. So I'm looking for FTR, come back at the Rumble, maybe come back at WrestleMania and give it a go.
You know what? I would love to see at the Rumble. I've always been wanting to see Enzo Amore return.
Yeah, I've been kind of surprised that he hasn't. I mean, I think he's in MLW right now. I know he's doing work in the Indies, but I think he's been as far as a more prominent company. I think
Trying to
ML
build back up his reputation.
Yeah, which I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that hurt his reputation, in terms of like public drama, turned out to be pretty shaky, man.
Hey,
Like pretty, yeah. I don't think it's very believable stuff. Um, so I don't think that's hurt him too much. I think he didn't really get along with everybody at WWE. I think there were some issues with his, I guess, working on himself, working on his ring work. A lot of people kind of thought he was a slacker in that regard. And it shows his ring work was never good.
his ring work was never good, but his mic skills were on the bomb.
Yeah, again, on the mic, he's one of the best. Enzo, it would be definitely debatable to put him up against MJF, to put him up against Eli Drake or LA Knight. I would even,
Enzo just joining in with the Acclaimed.
yeah. I mean, I would even go so far as to say like Enzo was had the potential to go toe to toe with The Rock. Enzo was good with the mic, man. He's good with words. He's good with wordplay. It seems natural with him. Nothing seems forced. Nothing seems rehearsed. So I've been surprised because I mean it's a few of the things that I've caught him, a few of the matches like MLW matches that I've caught him in. His ring work does seem to be better. It's still not anything phenomenal, nothing to write home about, but it seems to be a touch better than what it was when he left WWE. So, and with Cass going to Impact and now being in AEW, I mean Tony likes to bring in those AEW guys. So I've been kind of surprised that he didn't make a go with Enzo, try to get him in there.
And just look at his physique, man.
Enzo?
Yeah, it's a big improvement.
Yeah. I mean, he's in good shape. Like I said, if he would really hunker down and work on that ring work, and really put on some matches that impressed, from a wrestling standpoint, I think he probably would get snatched up. And I think that's really the only thing holding him back. All that being said, though, I mean, I think there are people on the AEW roster that he is better than. So it's not like he's the worst wrestler in the world.
I think if he would bring back his gimmick that he had with the same words, it kind of be a little weird.
I mean, I kind of always think of Enzo as being a little weird. I don't know that I've ever seen him not be a little weird.
Yeah, you're right. What am I thinking? Yeah, you're right.
So maybe be weirder. Maybe turn up the weird.
A little, I guess.
Yeah.
I just miss Enzo, man.
Yeah, I do too, man. I was a fan.
My dad was a fan.
Yeah. It's
Actually, that was
funny.
the first time at a WWE event was he saw Enzo Amore.
Yeah.
He's doing his little dance and talking his little talk. Like, my name is Enzo. Yeah.
Yep. Man, their shtick was good. It's Cass was never really that impressive in the ring around that time either. So I was never really a big Cass fan. Pun intended.
Even when Cass broke up with Enzo still went on to do better things.
Yeah, I always saw really Enzo being the the Michaels and Cass being the genetic. It's funny to fast forward to where we're at now, and you know, if we're just judging based off of now and where things are now, it seems we had it backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cass is the one making the big bucks with the major company, and Enzo's nowhere to be found for real.
Bring him back into the light, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when Enzo and Kaz took over. Kaz attacked and did all this stuff in New Japan and Ring of Honor. We were talking to my dad about it, like Ring of Honor, New Japan crossover, and then you see Enzo and Kaz attacking people from the crowd.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, and yeah, I still am not sure if that was a work or a worksheet or not. You know, there was rumors going around that, you know, that was all signed off on, and then there's other rumors going around that like they legit bought tickets, hopped the barricade, kind of went into business for themselves, and legit were, you know, ejected from the building. I think it's a little less likely that that's the case. I'm sure, you know, Ring of Honor knew that they were going to do what they were going to do, but it did feel real, you know. It felt like they were legit, you know, doing an invasion and just kind of going into business for themselves.
I also remember one time at Survivor Series, believe it was during Authors of Pain versus whoever the SmackDown Tag Team Champions were during that time. Enzo Amore was in the crowd at that event. I'm actually looking at the photo right now. And he got drunk. And he started shouting stuff. And he rushed to the barricade. And thankfully, security got him like 5 rows back. But he made it all the way close to the barricade and almost jumped the barricade. I'm looking at photos. Yeah. It was AOP and Cesaro and Sheamus.
That seems vaguely familiar. It's pretty crazy.
So we got anything else to talk about? We got any more news you'd like to cover? Or is that all for news?
Well, I mean, we got the Noah and the New Japan shows.
Oh, that's right.
The Noah show, like I said, there were a couple other good matches on the card, but I couldn't be bothered to really. They weren't so good that I was like looking these people up, you know. So for the most part, I would just tell everybody to make it a point to catch at least the Muta and Nakamura match. I think it's the last match, or it's pretty close to the end. So if you're not interested in anything but that, just kind of fast forward and skip until closer to the end until you find it. But that was a really good match, man. I enjoyed it. It was nice to see the old Nakamura back. Yeah, entrances were good from both guys. The match was good from both guys. Had you know, Muta, for those of you who don't know, he's the one that made the Mist famous. So we've seen people like Tajiri, we've seen people like Asuka spit a venomous or poisonous mist into the face of their opponents. The Great Muta is the guy who started that. Or at least popularized it. So, you know, he used the mist, I think once or twice in the match. And the mist is pretty strong, pretty powerful. It usually helps to get the job done. Wasn't getting the job done with Nakamura. He kept getting up. Match kept going. So I think it was a third time. Muta was gonna, you know, go for the mist, and Nakamura. I don't know if calling it a kiss is exactly accurate, but Nakamura put his mouth on Muda's mouth, sucked out the mist, and then spit it in the face of Muda, which allowed him to hit a move and get the win. So pretty cool little twist there. Pretty good storytelling. I enjoyed that. Yeah, good match, man. Did you catch that match? I forgot.
I did. I caught bits and pieces of it. I definitely did catch the ending and catch what Muda had to say about Nakamura afterwards.
Yeah, that was pretty hilarious for some, pretty offensive for some others. I don't know. I'm in the hilarious camp. I think some of you might find that offensive, that I find it hilarious, but I don't really care. Pretty. I mean, it felt like I was watching a 1990s wrestling show again. Those were the days. So yeah, one cool move that I saw during that match that I really enjoyed, had Nakamura get Muda pretty much laying, draped over the ropes, kind of the same way that Rey Mysterio sets up for the 619. But it was over closer towards the corner of the towards the end of the ropes, and Nakamura bounces off the ropes, slides, does like a baseball, slide through the legs of Muda, and as he's passing underneath, grabs him, and does sort of a belly to back, like suplex type thing. I don't know what that's called. That's really the first time I've ever seen anyone do that, and it came from Nakamura, who's been really uneventful in WWE lately. So that was a cool move. I'd like to see more of that.
Looks like as well, Pro Wrestling Noah, you had Timothy Thatcher there.
Oh yeah, that actually was, I think, one of the matches that I saw that I enjoyed. Was it Jack Morris? Yeah.
I've never heard of Timothy Thatcher until he came to WWE. And then when I heard about him and I saw it, instantly became a fan. I instantly liked him.
Okay. So it's coming back to me. That's one of the matches that I saw that I enjoyed. I am not familiar with Jack Morris. Don't know anything about him. The Timothy Thatcher guy, his name sounds familiar to me for some reason. Couldn't quite place it. But apparently, I didn't know that he wrestled in WWE. When was that?
Recent. That was pandemic era. Pete Dunne was half of the NXT Tag Team Champions with Matt Riddle, and so Pete Dunne couldn't come overseas to defend the titles. So Timothy Thatcher took his place.
Okay.
So Timothy Thatcher was introduced.
Huh.
And defended the titles a little bit, teamed with Riddle a little bit, turned on Riddle, and then actually Timothy Thatcher was the inaugural winner of the first ever Fight Pit.
I don't know what that is either.
The Fight Pit, the more recent one came out on Extreme Rules between Rollins and Riddle.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was the Fight Pit. And so he became the first ever winner of the Fight Pit against Riddle. Lost a tooth in that match. Did a Fight Pit with Tommaso Ciampa, won that match. Team with Ciampa. His style of wrestling is like Pete Dunne's, but a lot more brutal.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, man. I was more impressed with him than I was Jack Morris. I think that's my first time seeing Timothy Thatcher.
He's a monster.
Yeah. Definitely gonna keep an eye on him for sure. I didn't know he wrestled with WWE. That's probably why the name sounds familiar, because I wasn't really watching during the pandemic, but I've been following WWE on social media for years, so I do see clips and things like that, and I'm sure I probably caught a clip.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He's very brutal. He's very bony and very cut, which makes him even more dangerous because he's more of a submission specialist and a grappler.
Yeah.
Than a striker.
Yeah.
He's a striker too, but he does better work as a grappler.
Yeah. Good mix of technical wrestling and brawling.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely doesn't seem like a guy you'd want to mess with. So yeah, New Japan, Wrestle Kingdom.
Yep, Wrestle Kingdom talk.
Yep.
What do you have to say about Wrestle Kingdom?
It was really good, man. Wrestle Kingdom usually is though. Even when I'm not really paying New Japan much attention, I will watch Wrestle Kingdom. It's the Japanese WrestleMania. So typically some big matches, big stuff happens. This one didn't disappoint, man. I did like the version I was watching had English commentary.
Mm-hmm.
However, I only listened to commentary for about half of the show. The other half of the show, it was muted. So, and that was just because I had to multitask. I had other things going on, so I couldn't keep the audio going, man.
Couldn't fully listen to it.
Right. But it was fine. I often watch without commentary anyway, so no big deal. But yeah, the one thing that I did have to listen for was the Mercedes Moné debut.
Yep.
Not a debut in the sense of in-ring action, though there was a little bit of that. So Kairi Sane, she wrestled, and I didn't even take down the girl's name who she wrestled, but it was a good match. Both competitors, were impressive, which I'm a lot more familiar with Kairi Sane, bigger fan of hers. Great match. It was short, but not necessarily in a bad way. It wasn't a squash match, but good length. I think maybe could have went 5 more minutes. But match ends with Kairi Sane hitting the insane elbow. Yep. Gets the 1, 2, 3. Music hits. She's raising her hand, raising the title. She wins. Happy moment. Lights go out. Pitch black. Unfortunately, man, I grew up in a time where you didn't have internet and smartphones and spoilers the way we do now. I wish, they were possible to have surprises in wrestling, and sometimes you do. I mean,
sometimes you do.
Yeah, there are some things that they're still able to keep a secret, but anyway, I don't think anyone was surprised with why the lights were going out. I think everyone knew what was happening. And on the video screen, their version of the Titantron, you see, flashy promo video stuff, music hits, ends up being Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks for those WWE marks.
Yep. And I'll probably continue to refer to her as Sasha Banks. I'm not really crazy about the Mercedes Moné name. It might grow on me, but
I don't care about the name. I like the look. I like the whole gimmick they're going for. It's the same thing that they did in WWE. I do care about they botched their move.
Yeah, and that's hard to. I mean, I watched that many times, and I've seen people try to pin that 100% on Kairi, and other people try to pin that 100% on Sasha.
I think it was a bit of both.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think that was just two people doing a dance and both kind of missing a step.
It's a complicated move.
It is, man.
It's a backpack. It's a backpack cradle twist into a DDT.
Yeah, which I've never seen before.
No.
That's the only time I've ever seen it. I did see some kind of like practice footage of Sasha training, learning the move, and trying to
That's
perfect.
Yeah.
Trying to perfect the move with someone else. And I think that's probably what caused the botch or the mistake. Kairi Sane seemed to be a different body type, different body size, different weight, than the person that Sasha. Yeah, and so I don't know that Sasha and Kairi ever practiced that move themselves. So I think that might have been what happened there. You had Sasha practicing the move with someone else, shows up and just, I can do it. I've done it 100 times, and worked every time. But then you do it with somebody new who's a bit smaller, a bit lighter. I can see that causing a misstep. But yeah, it would have been a cool move had she hit it all the way. Unfortunately, there were a few factors, man, that really worked against Sasha. I don't think it was a great debut, honestly. For one thing, the Japanese crowd, they're still kind of in the COVID funk over there. The virus of unknown origin, the virus that shall not be named, or else we'll possibly get in some trouble. They're all
say it once. I bet you there's going to be an info tab in the description.
Yeah, well, I wasn't thinking, and I did utter the C word, and so yeah, we'll probably have some little disclaimer at the bottom pop up.
Maybe.
And it's not that C word. So anyway, the fans are all wearing masks. They're all a bit further from the ring as they normally would be. They're not sitting right up against the barricades, they're all pushed back. So yeah, she didn't get a pop, man. Music hits, she comes out, nobody really seemed to care. She gets in the ring, takes off her jacket, does her little flashy, Sasha thing. Nobody seems to care. She has a face-to-face with Kairi Sane, where Kairi Sane is holding the title up to her and basically telling her to bring it. Nobody seems to care. She, grabs Kairi Sane, puts her in the finisher, DDT move. Kairi's laid out on the floor. Nobody seems to care.
We had more of a reaction out of the pandemic crowd in the Thunderdome era when Kairi and Sasha went face to face than we do in a full arena of Japanese citizens.
Yeah, now the Japanese, crowds are a bit different anyway. They've always been a bit different than American crowds. They are a bit more reserved. But I couldn't help but get the feeling that nobody was really that into it. Then Sasha delivers a promo. She asks for a microphone. They give her the mic. Honestly, man, it wasn't good. Yeah, I don't know, man. She felt like maybe she was a little nervous. The lines just were not really rolling off the tongue the way that they normally would from her. So, yeah, on a few different accounts, man. You've got the crowd reaction. You've got the botched move. You've got the very ungood promo. I don't think that was what anyone really expected, and I'm not sure if Sasha realizes. Might find her in a little bit of a denial there. Maybe she does know that was a rocky start, but yeah, man, if I'm her, I'm a little sweaty right now. I guess we'll see maybe in a week or two how her pro wrestling tees store does financially. She's dropped a few new shirts. It'll be interesting to see what the reaction is to that. See if she, is able to move some merch. I've seen rumors that she's going to AEW. I've also seen rumors that those rumors are untrue and she's not going to AEW. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. But, honestly, if I'm WWE, if I'm AEW, and I've put in offers to Sasha Banks, after that Wrestle Kingdom debut, I think I pull my offer. And I think I put a new offer on the table for significantly less money.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I think Sasha's maybe sweating a little bit right now. I don't know what is in store for her next. I know she challenged Kyrie. Apparently they're having a match, I think, in February. So I don't know if she's going to be working any more shows with New Japan between now and then. I don't know if she's going to be working any other companies between now and then. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that and see how that goes for her. I think that again could change, the terms of the offers that she's being presented with.
Yeah.
So that's the start. I mean, secondly, you had FTR, drop the belts. It was a good match. Goto and Yoshihashi. Not familiar with those guys, but they put on a solid match with FTR. Apparently, they're deserving of being the New Japan Tag Champs. So they're it. Good match, worth checking out. Had Zack Sabre Jr. and a guy named Ren Narita. Not familiar with Ren Narita, but he definitely impressed. Zack Sabre Jr. Not sure how familiar you are with him, but he's great. That was a really, really good match. Zack Sabre Jr. came out on top, and that was the inaugural New Japan television title match. So that makes Zack Sabre Jr. the first ever New Japan television champion. After the match, you had TMDK come out. Not sure how familiar you are with TMDK. You might know them better as TM61 or the Mighty. Maybe Nick Miller and Shane Thorne might ring a bell.
Yeah.
So TMDK, the Mighty Don't Kneel. They had a stint in NXT not too long ago. Really did not go. Yeah, didn't go as well as it should have, in my opinion. They're a pretty good tag team, man, and I feel like them coming to NXT, coming to WWE was a very, very promising thing for them, and for WWE and for the fans. And they didn't really mesh well with WWE for whatever reason. WWE didn't really get behind them too much.
Shane Thorne, anyways, was what was his name? Slapjack, for Retribution.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Shane Thorne was Slapjack for Retribution. Terrible,
just terrible.
And even then, Shane Thorne ended up being on Raw with someone with then known as Brendan Vink, which in NXT is what's his name in NXT? He's the prize pupil of Chase U, Duke Hudson.
Okay.
So,
well, yeah, they anyway, they came out and basically did the T-shirt offer to Zack Sabre Jr. to join TMDK. So I think there's 2 other members who I'm not familiar with. So now I think that makes that faction a 5-member faction. Zack Sabre Jr. probably being the biggest biggest name and the biggest claim to fame in the group. So that was cool. Apparently they go back and have some history. So yeah, after that had Tama Tonga and Carl Anderson. That was Carl Anderson kind of fulfilling his previous commitments and dropping his New Japan title to Tama Tonga, who they've had beef, Bullet Club beef. I think Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Jay White, got together and ended up booting Tama Tonga out of Bullet Club not too long ago. So this was a title match, but it was also a little bit of a history and beef there. Tama Tonga came out on top, got the win. It was a good match. The finish for the match seemed to be botched. I'm not positive. Nobody really drawed attention to it, which is, kind of standard procedure for a botch. You don't really want to call too much attention to it. But Tama Tonga for the gun stun, which is basically a diamond cutter, and he didn't really catch it. It almost looked more like a European uppercut, like a jumping shoulder.
Even with the gun stun, was botched.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, it was a good match, man. A lot of it, was fought on the outside, which was pretty good.
Also, I've been hearing rumors that WWE is having interest in Tama Tonga.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, again, I think it's pretty surprising that they haven't snatched him up sooner, being his relation. He's saw some quote from Roman Reigns earlier, just before we went on, where he was I don't know what interview he was doing, but talking about his family and how he thinks that they are the I guess the best wrestling family to ever exist. I think there's a case that could be made for that, man. I think that family, for whatever reason, does sometimes get overlooked. People like to focus on the Rhodes family, the McMahon family, the Flair family. You focus on a lot of these families, the Hart family, and I think that would probably be the way I'd go with it. That'd probably be my pick. But I think there's a legitimate case that could be made for the Anoa'i family. But anyway, Tama Tonga, he's related to those guys, so it makes sense, man. I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner.
Yeah. Talk about the Kenny Omega Will Ospreay match.
Yeah, that was a great match, man.
Match.
Again, I think the gap between WWE Nakamura and New Japan Nakamura is a much greater gap than the gap between AEW Kenny Omega and New Japan Kenny Omega. However, I do see similarities. New Japan Kenny Omega, far superior to AEW Kenny Omega.
Oh, definitely.
I don't understand, don't know what it is, don't know what the reason for that is, but I prefer New Japan Kenny. Great match.
Okay, Kenny Omega, every time at Wrestle Kingdom, or New Japan in general, his entrance, he knows how to make an entrance.
Yeah, his entrances are good, man. His attire choices are good. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for Finals Fantasy. And
yeah,
so
see, I'm not a huge Final Fantasy guy. Just because I played Final Fantasy X, and that is one of the greatest games ever, especially of that style, that type of game. I wasn't big into Final Fantasy before or after that. So my exposure to Final Fantasy is pretty limited.
Yeah. To hear the sting of the Sephiroth theme song, because he's the one-winged angel, and Kenny Omega's final move is the one-winged angel. So
Yeah.
just to hear that theme song and Kenny Omega coming out to it, that song always gives me chills.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it was a great match. I will say Will Ospreay, I think, is. I mean, it's getting harder to keep him out of the conversation when you talk about best in the world. I think there's a case that could be made for him at this point. He's pretty phenomenal. He's pretty great. I mean, if I'm judging Ospreay versus AEW Kenny Omega, I think Ospreay's better. So the match, I think Ospreay hit a Styles Clash on Kenny Omega, so that was pretty cool to see. A lot of Kenny Omega's knee strikes, man, they either look really, really good or they look really, really bad in the sense that they look really, really fake. There's typically no in between with him. At least in that match, it was awesome knee strike. It looked totally believable, looked like he took the guy's head off. And then there were others where he's clearly not even catching him in the head and just throwing his knee over your shoulder. Other than that, the match was dang near perfect, man. It was really good.
The storytelling as well, like the promo before the match, the week before that.
Yeah, man, and then there was that made it a bit more intense of a match. Seeing the build for the match. Ospreay lost. I don't necessarily think that's the way I would have liked to have seen it go down, man. I think being on New Japan territory, and Kenny being in AEW, I would really like to have seen Ospreay go over there and send Kenny Omega back to AEW.
Yeah, and Ospreay didn't go down easy either.
No,
it took a long time for. I loved it.
Yeah.
I like it when that guy that just doesn't want to give up.
Yeah, and Ospreay did a really good job of selling. Even when he was on offense later in the match, he struggled. He struggled to climb the ropes. He struggled to mount an offense. He really sold the fact that he's been in a long match. He's been taking a beating. I do recall, I think my only other complaint, the table that they used seemed to be made out of paper mache. It was like it was made out of cookie, like a cracker or something. It was just so soft and flimsy and just broke apart super easy. That was kind of weird. But yeah, there was also a cool moment where Kenny Omega, I guess, put a hole in the table, and he grabs the table and puts his face in the table and does the almost like the "Here's Johnny" move from the Shining. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, good match, man. I really enjoyed it. I would love to see another one with those two guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Then yeah, Jay White and Okada. You caught that, right?
Yes, I did. That's the one match I wanted to catch.
Yeah. And did it disappoint?
No, it didn't.
No.
It didn't disappoint me at all. I felt like the finish was great. It felt like the moves. Some moves could have been worked on, but other than that, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okada's a great athlete, a wonderful wrestler. And Jay White, just as good.
Yeah. Yeah, two more names to drop in the hat for best in the world, man.
Of this generation, of course.
Yeah, of course. Current. Yeah, really good match, man. I really don't have any very descriptive complaints on that one, man. I enjoyed every bit of it. Thoroughly enjoyed that match. I was pretty happy with the outcome. I think it was a good move, especially seeing as how it kind of plays into what we were talking about earlier with the Jay White rumors, of him possibly going to the Big E. So it's pretty good event, man. I enjoyed Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. I didn't catch no Impact, no NWA, no other wrestling. That's all I had time for. But those shows, man, that Noah show and that Wrestle Kingdom show, both of those shows were very long. So I'm amazed that I managed to squeeze all that in.
Well, I guess that's all we have for today.
Yeah, that's about all I got, I think.
I mean, other than we don't have any big topic tonight, but if y'all want us to talk about something or have another topic, you can put anything in the comments. I'm pretty sure this will still be up on the channel. If you didn't catch the live, it'll still be pre-recorded. It'll even be edited on our main channel that we're trying to get started. Yeah.
So all those things. Follow here. Follow the Bad Brothers Babyface breakdown. On the official YouTube channel for that. Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. Give us feedback. Let us know. Yeah, I guess that's just gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Go. Well,
thanks for do an intro.
Yeah, we skipped right over that.
Yeah, we didn't do an intro, but we'll definitely do an outro.
Yeah, and the edited version has a pretty solid intro every time, so you at least know what you're watching. But yeah, it's been the Bad Brothers, the Babyface breakdown. I'm Boosh Dingo, the Luchador. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Thanks for listening to us.
All those people out there.
Yeah, all two of you.
Is there really two?
I doubt it.
Just me and you.
Yeah.
And I'm Big Bubba Brogdon, officially declaring I will not be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. I might.
Because I'm pretty sure I'd go over the rope like Top Dollar has. And that would be embarrassing enough.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, take it easy, and yeah, guess we'll see you next week. Hopefully, maybe.
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Peace.
Bye, guys.